Hello, wrestling fans. This is Sal LaSardo reporting in from Orlando, Florida. Welcome to this week's edition of Rough Cuts. We are going to do a wrestling spotlight this week during the extreme days of professional wrestling. And this week's edition, I'm going to talk about wrestler, now Dr. Nurse. Yes, if you do not know or already do know, we're going to talk about Dawn Marie, the legendary valet of the Impact players with Lance Storm and Just Incredible during the ECW time in her career, and what she means and what she's doing today. She's saving lives today. So, for this edition of Rough Cuts, please be advised these are my opinions only. They're not affiliated with Bill Apter or any wrestling promotion. And I'm also going to answer one of your questions also before this video is over with as well. I've been getting some emails and there's been some talk, and I want to answer your questions. First of all, Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie. She was a supposed to be hired back in those days with under Paul Heyman for a brief stint for a couple of weeks, and she had such amazing chemistry with Lance Storm and the group that they signed her. Paul Heyman knows talent. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that Paul Heyman is one of the masterminds of talent and the success of ECW and the success today. I mean, that he's having with that he had with Brock. Look at getting Roman Reigns over. Anything he touches has turned to gold, really. And Dawn Marie was only supposed to be there for a couple of weeks, and the chemistry she had was impeccable, very beautiful, very talented. You could see the in-ring charisma, and she came aboard and had the eventually aligned herself with Lance Storm, who she had incredible chemistry with, and just incredible. They won tag team champions. They won gold. She feuded with the Tammy Stitch and the late Chris Candido, who were a real life couple. And it's just, you gotta be, yeah, ECW had Francine. Francine will always be the queen of extreme, and I don't think Dawn Marie ever was concerned about being the queen. The Beulah and Woman, Dawn Marie was also right there as well. And more than just a ballet, more than just a pretty face, not afraid to take a bump, not afraid to get in the middle of the squared circle. She really went out there and you felt it when she walked through the curtains, when she had Lance and Just Incredible. You felt that presence, you felt that in awe of Dawn Marie, and continued onward, and was one of the really important pieces of the success of ECW and for Paul Heyman for noticing her. Her WWE days, yeah, they were kind of marked. I mean, as with a lot of it, with a lot of the performers, it was understandable. She got involved in a storyline with Tori Wilson and Tori Wilson's real life father, Al Wilson. I mean, it probably seems kind of unforgettable even to me. It really, I think, in a way, took away what she was really doing in ECW. I think that's what fans will remember her most is for what she accomplished in ECW more than the WWE stuff. I mean, her feud with Tori was just, it wasn't really, you know, it wasn't anything on Dawn's part. I think it was just more the WWE. But really, Paul Heyman knew talent, and you cannot, take away her incredible accomplishments of what she was able to give during her time in ECW and for noticing it. And she had a steady job. And, a 3 week stint turned into several years until the promotion went bankrupt. And she was a part of One Night Stand as well. She was with Lance Storm and with his battle with Jericho. So she did do her appearances. When her in-ring days were over, she had been in school, and now today, she's married. In 2020, she's been married for a number of years now to Matthew D'Amato, I believe, and she has two children. She's the same age. She will be. She's born in the same year as I was, 1970, and she is now serving the front lines during the epidemic. She is a registered nurse battling the front lines, saving lives, talking on Twitter about different things because she is a nurse. She had tweeted me that her daughter has anxiety and stuff, and she tweeted me back a little bit, um, which was really nice of her. She actually did get back to me a couple of times, as is a lot of the performers for the ECW days. Francine tweets me all the time. She's really just been a godsend. But Dawn Marie, I really wanted to touch on the fact that we owe her a deep debt of gratitude beyond the squared circle. She is a nurse battling in the most difficult set of circumstances, putting her life on the line, her family, to save lives as a nurse during COVID 19. And we owe her a big round of applause and a big thank you for doing what she does, and that is making a difference and doing something she truly loves doing. She is a nurse, a doctor, however you want to call it. She is battling the front lines and doing an incredible, incredible job. Very smart and talented, and a far cry from her ECW days, from valet performer to a nurse helping others. And probably a lot of people today, unless they followed it back then, probably don't even know who she really is. But I do. I know who she is. We all do. And Dawn, thank you for what you do, for saving lives, helping people, making a difference in the lives of everyday people who need you and who need a doctor or a nurse and that special care. And you really have done something very special with your life, and you should be very proud of what you're doing. She's a wife, she's a mother, raising two kids, and living the American dream, really. And we owe her a deep debt of thank you. And Dawn, thank you for the EC time in ECW. Thank you for being extreme, a champion, and doing what you're doing, which is saving lives and helping during very difficult times on a day-to-day basis. Cannot imagine what you're going through with a grueling schedule, but you are really making a contribution that this country owes you a deep debt of gratitude. And anybody that can do what you do has a heart of gold in my book, and you really do. Being a nurse is not the easiest job in the world, and especially in these times. And I can't thank you enough. Bill Apter sends his love and says hello as well. And again, from all of us from here, Rough Cuts and Bill and all the fans that are watching, and I hope you get to see this. Thank you for all that you do and have done and continue to do what you do, which is make a difference and help people, uh, because it's just something that it's not everyone could do, and you are one of the few select out of billions upon millions of people that is truly making a difference in this world, and I thank you. I really do. So, Dawn Marie, from wrestler to doctor, we thank you again for doing what you do. Want to answer a couple of your quick questions before we wrap up this weekend's edition of Rough Cuts. I got an email from Mike. Thank you, Mike, for tuning in to Rough Cuts. J.J. Dillon's birthday was this week coming up, and celebrating his 79th birthday, they're reliving War Games on Arnie Anderson's podcast. Is War Games the original, the best ever War Games? It's a no-brainer, Mike. Thank you for the question. Thank you for tuning in. Without a doubt, it didn't matter that we all knew that James J. Dillon was going to submit. It is the very first War Games, is arguably the greatest War Games in the history of professional wrestling, and probably one of the greatest matches of all time. Didn't matter what the finish was. It didn't really matter. we all knew what was going to happen in the end. But as far as maybe all-time matches ever, it has got to be a top five match, hands down, and easily the greatest War Games ever. It was an innovative concept by Dusty Rhodes, and the two rings enclosed in a steel cage, the real true cages, the true old school rings. Got it. I mean, you're talking nearly 40 minutes of just pure brutality from the opening bell until JJ submitted. And that JJ Dillon had an upcoming birthday. Happy 79th birthday to the James J. Dillon and the manager and the leader of the Horsemen. And just absolutely amazing that that match is still watched today. I watch it, relive it, feel the intensity and the emotion of the crowd. You can't top that. You can't top that. Absolutely, the greatest, one of the greatest wrestling matches, and it is of all the War Games ever. The first one, just nothing ever compared. Nothing ever came close to it. Got another question for you in regards to ECW. In your eyes, who should be in the Hall of Fame, and when will the WWE acknowledge ECW performers? There, that's another question. The WWE needs to acknowledge it. I mean, first and foremost, I'll eventually do a thing on Paul Heyman, and I will do a thing on Paul Heyman, obviously. But Paul Heyman has to go in first. I know he's still, doing his thing with Roman, but it doesn't matter. He needs to go in immediately, and hopefully now with things subsiding, the epidemic, he needs to go in hands down. But there are so many of those performers. Well, Tammy is in. Sonny, she's in already. If you count, from her WWE days, but she's in. Francine, Shane, Taz. I mean, the Dudley Boys, Dawn Marie, Beulah, Tommy Dreamer, Terry Funk's in, Mick Foley's in. I mean, I think Mick Foley's in, I'm not sure. But, I mean, there were a few guys a part of the ECW that are in, but as far as like the creme de la creme of the core, like the Just Incredibles, Sabu, Bill Alfonso. Yes, there are so many that need to get acknowledged and go in. And yes, I do think that it's time that they go in. But I think first and foremost, Paul Heyman needs to go, and then the players do need to go in. And yes, it should happen. One more quick question, then I'll wrap this up. Is what are referees going into the Hall of Fame? There have been so many great wrestler referees. Some of them not with us. I actually met Dick Worley, the late Dick Worley, once at a house show. Right around the time I met Bill Apter, some 35 something years ago. Dick Worley was a very special referee, a no nonsense referee. I would love to see him acknowledged at some point. Nick Patrick to go in. The dangerous man himself, Danny Davis, is another one. Uh, the Hebners. Yes, I do believe that referees are a vital part of sports entertainment, and without them, there is no wrestling match. And they often go unnoticed, but they take their share of bumps, and they have a lot of responsibility in that side, that square circle, especially when it comes to the welfare and well-being of the performers. And they do referee multiple matches per night on many of them. And it is a very difficult job. I think it's even more difficult than being the performer themselves for what they have to do and the amount of responsibility. And they've not been given enough credit for what they do. And I would love to see them acknowledged and be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and in fact, more Hall of Fames. I want to see them acknowledged. I want to see I want to see credit where credit is due, and I want them to be more acknowledged. We also have female referees now. AEW has a female referee, a full time, and now the WWE. they've been working and the tremendous amount of responsibility that they have is beyond anything. And I do agree. But to me, it goes back to the Dick Worley days and the Hebners and all those guys, and some of the others, and just paving the way for the future. People just don't realize they are without them. There is no wrestling match. So again, yeah, thank you for the question. I feel they belong in the Hall of Fame. I do think they need to be acknowledged more. I mean, they're just like the referees in the pro sports, they get acknowledged as well. Joe West in baseball, say what you want, broke the record or is about to break the record. No, he did. He broke it for most games umpired in professional baseball. I don't say what you want, but that's an incredible accomplishment. Uh, Basketball, football, hockey, they all have big name referees and they get acknowledged for their work because without them, you can't have the teams and the sport itself. And the entertaining factor that goes into a wrestling match is the referee. He or she's often distracted, making a close, just missing the three. There's so much that goes into it. And I think they need to be acknowledged more the way they are in the pro sports and in the entertaining industry. They are just they are a huge piece to the puzzle, and they need to be acknowledged more by the writers and the organizations. That referees are just as important and vital to anything, and I'd like to see them inducted into the Hall of Fames throughout the country and the world because they are a very important piece. So, thank you for that. So, I'm going to wrap this up here at the 17-minute mark. Dawn Marie, love you. Thank you for making memories for me during your ECW days, your wrestling days, and being a doctor, nurse that you are today, a proud wife, a mother of two children, saving lives during the epidemic. Thank you for that. I cannot say that enough. I mean it. I think myself and everybody that's viewing this, we owe you a deep debt of gratitude for what you're doing. Thank you so much, Dawn. We do love you. Happy birthday, James J. Dillon. Yes, you have created the greatest, you were part of the greatest wrestling match and the greatest war games ever. Happy 79th birthday to you, James J. Dillon. Without you, I don't believe the Horsemen would ever have been complete. This is for you. Happy 79th birthday, sir. Thank you for the contribution that you have given to professional wrestling, to the Horsemen, to being a part of the first War Games that will always be forever remembered. This is the symbol of excellence, always and forever. And also to all the referees, night in and night out, in all promotions that go out there and do a very difficult job. You should be acknowledged. And we, the fans, applaud you as well and thank you for all that you do. With that being said, and for this edition of Rough Cuts, keep the questions coming, be safe, and thank you. May all of your matches be a main event. See you next week.